Well, this levitating and meditating monk is off to its new home in Taiwan, but I'd like to show you some of the process of making it. Using something called cranial units, I make a wire frame and structure for the guy, and then I fill in that frame and structure using TIG welding. This process is quite tedious, and a lot of the times the metal becomes so liquefied that it drips in the places that I don't want it. Generally speaking though, once the torso is filled in, it actually becomes a little bit easier. Now that there's an actual structure, I can weld on top of it, or I can cut parts off and readjust them as needed. And I still have a lot to learn, so of course I'm making a lot of mistakes. In this case, I had to cut both legs off and readjust their angle and their length. And now that everything's broken up into individual pieces, I was able to make the adjustments. And then comes my favorite part. This thing is called a loomis head. And a loomis head is simply nothing more than a mannequinized, faceless head. There's something very satisfying and intriguing about the simplicity of this head. And for this sculpture, the only detail I wanted were ears. From this point, it was simply a matter of welding on the upper portion of his robes to his skin, finishing and welding on his arms, and then making a dramatically long sash that would weld to the base. And at this point I thought I was going to be done with the sculpture, but I asked my followers if I should leave the clothes as they are, or if I should powder coat them orange. And over 70% of everyone voted for orange, so into powder coating we go. And if you're unfamiliar with the powder coating process, it starts with colored powder that is electrically charged and clings to the metal surface. But since I didn't want the entire sculpture to be powder coated, I had to very carefully and patiently dust off all areas that I didn't want coated. Then once the powder was in all the right places, I baked it at 400 degrees to permanently set it onto the metal. Then as a final step in detail, I took a wire wheel to the powder coat to create a very distressed look that matches the surface of his skin. Overall, this thing took me about 6 days to make, and there are some details that of course I didn't record, but I appreciate you watching the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below.